I've got a new radio, pretty cool little thing. It's the AM FM NOAA weather band radio by Sunglife. All right, guys, here it is. Sunglife's emergency radio. It's an AM FM radio with a NOAA weather band on it. Kind of nice. Before I get any further, I do want to point out the fact that, in full disclosure, that Sunglife did supply this radio. They reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in looking at it and critiquing it for them and doing a little video on it for my YouTube channel. And, you know, what's to lose? I said, sure, I'll go for it. Even though I did have a radio already that does all the things this thing does, I found that this one is a lot better than the one I have. And I'll show you the one a little bit later, which is a very popular brand. And this one here kicks its butt. So let me bring you in over here. We'll have a look at what we've got here. We'll go over the radio, the building of it, what's in it, how it operates, and what have you. All right, let's start with the build quality on this thing. It's put together pretty stout. It's a nice radio, pretty strong. It's made of plastic, but it does have that rubberized coating on it that we're seeing nowadays on a lot of items that are made with plastic and what have you. And to me, it just seems like it just seems and feels like it's much sturdier than just a plain old plastic radio would be. Got to say, I'm impressed with it. It's not going to slide out of my hands, that's for sure. You hang on to this thing and your hands are wet, you're going to hang on to it. The face here is a plastic shield. It's got a small speaker down inside here. AM, FM, weather band, all controlled by this little switch right here. On the sides here, you get your control to turn it on and the volume. You have your tuning knob there, and they're quite large, so you're going to be able to find them in the dark. On the other end, we have a flashlight here, and we have underneath here, we have another light, and that's a reading light. Charging the thing is very easily done with solar, a dynamo. You crank it, and crank it either way, or you can unplug here, take the included cable, plug it into the mini USB port here, plug the other end into any USB port that is set up to have an output for charging, and you can charge away on it. At the same time, you've got another port right here, and you can plug a USB port cable into that and run it into another device such as your cell phone or what have you, and it will partially charge it. It's an emergency charge type thing. The battery in this thing is only 2,000 millivolts, or milliamps rather, but it's enough to get you a little bit of a charge into the phone so you can make a phone call or two. You can also charge it, plug in here, charge it, and turn the crank here to charge your phone directly with the dynamo. Right here is a little cavity, and behind this cavity, it runs off of 3 AAA batteries. So you've got a number of ways of getting this thing to operate, charge it, what have you, get power to it. It's got an antenna here on top. The antenna is about 1 foot long, and believe it or not, it works very well. Underneath here are the controls for the switches for the various items that you want to operate on the radio, and you do have to select your battery source, what have you. When this comes to whoever purchases one of these, they're going to get this thing, and it's going to be in a shipping mode, and that's going to be the AAA battery switch up here. A lot of people are getting the radio and turning it on, and it's not working. And the reason being, you need to take it from the AAA, put it down into the lithium-ion section, and then the batteries, which comes with a partial charge in it, will then operate the radio. Up here we have a switch that operates to full down position, and this is going to be for when you're using the charging portion on the back, either charging in or charging out from this. In the middle is any operations to make the thing work. In the top, well, that's very loud. If you're out someplace, and I don't care if it's the boonies or just anywhere, and something happens and you're immobilized or you can't get out of where you're at, or you hear somebody else and you need to get with people, you kick that on and they're going to hear it for quite a ways. And the flashing light will allow you to flash in their direction and aid them in directing where the noise is coming from. It comes with an owner's manual, and it's pretty inclusive. It pretty much covers everything, and being translated from Chinese to English is not that bad to read. There are some spots that are a little Chinglish, I guess you would say, but it's totally understandable. And it includes this cable to charge it with. Comes with a hanging strap, and you can dangle it like so, or you can make a handle out of it. Okay, down to the solar stuff and the other items on here, the dynamo and what have you. You can see this little red light here. That's an indication that the solar panel is working. Now, it's a rainy day here in Southern California today. I mean, really bad rain. And all I've got is a window, screen curtains pulled back over here, and the overhead lights on. And you can see it's charging. Put my hand over it, and you can see the charge goes away. You can imagine what this will be like out in the sun. I have not had a sunny day since I got this thing, so I really can't tell you how fast it's going to charge. But I can imagine it's probably going to be pretty efficient. On the back side here, we've got this dynamo handle. You can crank it in either direction. If you notice how the red light gets even brighter. And of course, when you do charge it from a USB port, that will light up too. That light will stay red until it's finally fully charged. When it's fully charged, it will then go green on you. Now, one of the problems I've noticed with it, and this is one of the negatives, was if you take this cord and you're going to plug your cord into it, or whatever cord you're going to be using for charging to your phone, with the cord in the way, you can't crank it. Although it's designed to work that way, you can't do it. But since you can do it this way, you can do this and just continually do this, navigate the power into your phone. The other thing would be to crank it, charge the battery up, and then plug it into the phone and charge it, although I'm sure you won't be as efficient that way. Okay, we've got a flashlight here in the end. As you see, we can rotate that in and out, and that's going to focus the beam. We can go from a pencil beam, which is not a real close pencil beam, but it's going to tighten the beam up, to a wide angle beam. It has the Cree LED in there, and that's the LEDs that we were using in our high-powered flashlights these days. It's not as high-powered as the ones we're seeing in our flashlights, but it is much more intense than a lot of battery flashlights that come in some of these radios. All right, let me show you what it looks like in the dark. I did get a chance to go out last night when the rain had subsided, and I took some videos of this light and this one here. We'll show you this one first. So you can see that it's got a pretty good bright light. This light here, lift this up, it has 4 Cree lights in here. And it has a very bright light. This thing here, you can light up a tent, you can light up a campsite area. If you get a hammock and you hung this up on the ridge line up towards the top or the foot or what have you, it'll light the entire hammock up inside, which is probably what I'm going to try using for, because my preferred camping method is with a hammock. Let me show you what I got, how this looks at night. Was that bright enough for you? It's pretty bright. Now for the guys that are going to be backpackers and what have you, you don't want to be taking a lot of extra stuff along, but if you decide you wanted to take a radio or you needed one, this would probably be a pretty good one to take with you. Let's get some measurements here. This thing is about 6 inches, 6.5 inches long, by about 3 inches tall, by about 2 inches deep. Weight-wise, let's get this zeroed. All right. Looking at about 12 ounces weight-wise. And gram-wise, 342. So it's not the lightest thing in the world, but you know, if you're going to be going out and you want to take something with you, you want some entertainment, AM or FM. If you want to take it out there and have it for the weather, it's doable. All right, it's a radio, and you want to know how it sounds. Well, this is a transistor radio, and if you all remember the old pocket transistor radios, or if any of you have ever had a small transistor radio, that's what it sounds like. I'm going to put it on here in a minute for you on the various modes for you to hear what we have, and I will be using voices, so there won't be any nicks from YouTube and what have you. But remember, it's got a small speaker in it, and it's an emergency radio. It's not supposed to be high fidelity, and it's not close to being high fidelity, but it's got a good sound, as good as any transistor radio that I have, any of my small pocket radios. And that's basically what you're going to hear out of this. So let me get the AM on you here for you first. And you're
on the air with Steve Wright. Good afternoon.
Hi, is this Steve? It is, Dan. Nice talking to you.
Okay, that was the AM. Now here's the FM.
Dodger manager Leo DeRocher suspended for 1 year for associating with known gamblers. You know, guys like Jimmy the Fish, Freddie the Finger.
Boy, that's breaking in the past, isn't it? Leo DeRocher.
I'm Pete Fox. That's Sports on Tap on 95.5 KLOS Southern.
Okay, now we're going to bring in the Weather Channel. Okay, you notice a little green light here? That green light is an indication that you're on channel. So the closer you get to the channel, the brighter and steadier that light will be. All right, I told you that I had another one of these radios that I bought, and if you look at this thing here, you probably recognize it, and it comes under a number of different names, but it's a very popular radio, very nice looking radio, but it has lousy reception. As you can see, it's got a shorter antenna. The antenna is about 7 inches long on it, and I have to hook, in order for this to work outside, I put attached to the top of the antenna there, I'll attach a 6-foot hunk of wire, and then I'm able to pull a station in, the weather station in, just barely. I'm going to try to see if we can get any here right now. You can see it's on the station, but it's not picking anything up. And there at the other end of it, it's not picking anything up. That's the best it's going to come in. Yeah, so you see that the reception on this thing is incredibly delicate. There's very, very fine tuning in this thing. It comes in very nicely, picks up stations easily. I'm inside the house. If I was outside the house, it'd probably even be better. That other radio, I noticed it was trying to pick something up inside here, but it just wasn't cutting it. Just shows you how much better this radio is over that radio, that design of radio. And I like that radio, don't get me wrong. It was a nice radio, and I've enjoyed having it. But I was amazed at how much better this thing sounds. Actually, this comes in even at a less price than that. The prices are lower than this. Those are coming in around $40 now, I think it is. These are coming in anywhere from about $28, $29 up to about $35, depending on, you know, Amazon's prices are always going up and down. So, great little radio. Okay, now for those pros and cons that I was telling you about earlier that they wanted to hear. There are some pros on it, a couple cons, and I'm going to add a little something to it, and that is going to be my wish list. Pros on this thing is, first off, the quality of the sound. It sounds good. The quality of the reception is incredibly good. And when you're talking about an emergency radio, this is what's important, is being able to get the sounds you need, get the radio to pick up the stations that you need. This other one I had left me stranded a few times when I needed to find out what the weather was. This one's not going to do that, I can tell you that. The build quality, really nice. It's a strong, sturdy radio. And I can see that some of the guys who are dropping them in their videos, and I'm not going to do that, but some of those guys dropping them in their videos, I believe 100% they're going to stay together. It's priced right. Multiple ways of charging this thing. I mean, you can't be without power. I mean, you just not, unless your arms don't work, you're not going to be without power. And if the sun don't come up, you're not going to be without power. But during the daytime, you get the sun to charge it. During the evening, when there's no sun, you charge it right here with this dynamo. I mean, it's just great. Cons on it, though, are, first off, right there. As I showed you, the dynamo crank hits the cable when it's plugged in. Looking at it, there's really no other place to put it, but it is something that I would like to see them work with and see if they can find another place to put the darn thing. And one other con, which is I haven't mentioned any of it yet, and such, is that it does not have an earplug anywhere. Of course, none of these do, but it would be so much nicer if it had a little jack in it where you could plug an earphone in it, or a small headset type thing into it, especially when you want to use it for entertainment purposes. I mean, when you want to use this for entertainment purposes, you want to be able to hear stuff. And, you know, you're laying in your hammock or something, you're laying in your tent or what have you, plug an earphone in and you can listen to it. I mean, everybody else has to listen to it when you have it plugged in, but, you know, if the wife's over here reading or something, she don't want to listen to radio, and I do, earphones would have been nice. That would be a nice thing I would add to it. Now, things I'd like to see, first was that earphone. This is just aesthetics, and it's my feelings. This chrome stuff, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right on here. I would like to see these maybe in a black. Certainly not the original color, because they look kind of a clown type thing. Chrome is fine, there's nothing wrong with it, and a lot of people would probably prefer that. But I would prefer to see these things in a black. That way, if they get dusty and dirty and what have you out there while you're working, or out in the woods or whatever, it's not going to look so bad. Now, this thing does come in multiple colors. Comes in yellow, comes in red, comes in blue. I chose the yellow because it's nice and bright, and if the thing gets dropped someplace or I'm trying to look for it, I'm looking in my pack, this yellow is going to stand out. The red and blue is not going to stand out very much. The yellow stands out, and that's why I got it, and that's why this other one was gotten in a yellow color too, because you can look and see this thing. My knife I carry is an orange one, so if I drop it, the handle gets some orange strips on it, and I can see it. So the colors, I like this color. And I understand that they have more of the yellows than they do the blues and reds. And if I remember correctly, the price of the yellow one was $1 less than the other two colors. So it's actually a more desirable color at a cheaper price. Okay, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank you folks for dropping by. I want to thank the people at Sunglife for giving me the opportunity to share this with you guys. And if you got any questions, down below is where the comments are. Just ask me about them, see what I can do for you. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you guys next time.